Hey friends, welcome back. We have a ton of herbs to harvest. Got to harvest the herbs and preserve them and use them so that way they keep giving us more without it getting out of hand. So we're going to head over to harvest all of our culinary herbs as well as our tea herbs. We have tea herbs, culinary herbs, and medicinal herbs in the garden, and we're doing tea and culinary today. So let's go check it out. Okay, I got my harvest basket and bowl out here. Let me go get pruners real quick. Sun's in my eyes. Whew. Get my pruners out, and my kitchen is clean, almost. My dishes are done. Almost. Oh, there's a few things I still have to wash, but I need my kitchen to be clean and cleared away so I can process these as soon as they come in. Got these, kneeling pad, but yeah, my dishes are almost done. Oh. Sorry, the sun's probably in your eyes. Let's tackle. We'll start here with the hard stuff, I guess. That's one thing about trying to optimize space is that when things grow, it gets hard to walk. But, okay, look, like for example here. This is close to this. But if this was where it's supposed to be, see the wood is way back here, then there's plenty of room to walk. So it's just keeping up on things so this doesn't happen, because then it's kind of like a pain. And anyways, let's do this. If I didn't have these here, then it would be too much space. And then I'd be like, I could so totally have something there. Anyways. I don't even know where to begin. I so shouldn't have let this get out of hand like this. And like, I super appreciate you guys and everybody who watches this video. So what I'm about to say is not like meant to be rude or anything, but sometimes I do get behind on stuff because I'm like, oh, I really want to do that on video. So then I push it off until like it's a good time for me. So things get pushed off because I only record once or twice a week. Busy life, you know, mom, work, garden, all that stuff. So things get pushed back. And so that's part of the reason why this didn't get done sooner, because I was waiting to do it on camera, but then I didn't make it priority. I recorded other things that were also priority, and this didn't quite make the priority cut, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But so we're finally doing it now. If I wasn't worried about the camera, if this was just my garden and not like my YouTube channel where I'm trying to create a business and like get monetized and make this be my full-time job, which is my goal. So I do appreciate those of you that watch and encourage you to watch more of my channel, because I would really appreciate that. But that's not my point either. My point is, if this is just my garden, I'd probably have this done, in my defense. But that is not the case, and that's okay. We're getting it done now. So when we go inside in the kitchen to deal with all this, we'll pick off the brown bits and the stems and all that. I don't need to tell you that because you'll see it. Okay, parsley. Dang. It's very nice to unearth the tomatillos. These are going to be big ones. Look. Ooh. But these are supposed to be sun sugar tomatoes. And, oh, see, I would have never seen that one. And they're not. So the seed I bought is mixed up. I got some sun sugars and I got some of these, whatever they are. They're still good, but I bought 100 seeds of sun sugar for a reason, because that's all I wanted. Still really sweet. But that is not the right shape. But tastes very similar. Ooh, you know what? As we go along here, look at those. I was getting hungry. I haven't had dinner. I'm about to have dinner. Here's the parsley. Okay, I'm gonna have to move on to this now. This basket. This is Italian basil. Oh, smell my hands. Oh my gosh. So we're topping these to prevent blooms and harvesting at the same time. And they'll just grow bushier because we're topping them. So I know this, but I didn't follow my own knowledge. Herbs taste better when you pick them young, before they flowered especially. And my herbs have flowered, and I didn't get out here in time like I wanted to and needed to. So if they're a little bitter, that's my fault. Okay, we're gonna call that good. I thought I needed more basil plants than this, but that's a pretty good harvest there. And there's still more, and it's gonna keep growing. So I think I'll have enough for a year. And this is marjoram. It smells good. Ugh. Actually, it smells like the flowers. This is gonna be pretty bitter. I'm gonna cut this end off where the flowers are. And we'll use the bottom part. Rosemary, we will leave alone. See, there's more sun sugars there. They're not. This is thyme. We got dill, savory, oregano, and sage. What's the best way to harvest dill? Because, like, does it cut and come again? I need to look that up. I don't even know. Because I cut mine like this last year, and it didn't cut and come again. And so I'm just wondering if I'm doing this totally wrong right now. Like, I don't know. But yay, dill. Okay, we'll leave it like this and hopefully it just grows more. Whole bunch of oregano all through here. This is all oregano. Ooh, hello. Gotta harvest that. And a whole bunch of sage. That's a big bee. Yeah, I'll just stick it right here. There's a lot more oregano to get, but my basket's full and I'll have to process that oregano in increments. And this is just our culinary herbs. We haven't done the tea ones yet. So this is the mint plants here, and they have grown at least a foot out from the container. And this one closest to us flopped in a wind and rainstorm, and I don't want it to root into the ground, so we got to get it off the ground and just cut away at it. There's 3 different kinds of mint, and they are just very happy there, very aggressive growers. Got to get it off the grass. It's killing. I see it smothered the grass under it, sadly. And then for mint, I just freeze it. I don't bother taking the leaves off the stems or anything. I just put it all in a freezer bag. And when it's time to make tea, I just steep the stems and leaves and all. Okay, my mic's charging right now, so you can hear me. Just I know the audio sucks for this small few minutes. I don't think you realize how big that bowl is. That's just mint. I still have to grab the chamomile, blue spice basil. Blue spice basil is supposed to be good for tea. And then stevia out there. So I'll do that. It's starting to get a little, I'm gonna start what it looks like for you. Well, it looks brighter for you. It's starting to get a little dark out, so it might be dark when we harvest that, so I might just do a short little clip in the dark. And I wanted to try making blue spice basil tea. So when the sun's down and I'm out of daylight, we'll come in the kitchen and we'll make some blue spice tea. Blue spice basil tea, because the reason why I'm growing it is because I heard it tasted good for tea. So I don't know if it's like good by itself or good with something else, but we're gonna try it. So let's finish harvesting and make some tea, and then that'll be it. Well, no, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with all these herbs. Okay, good, we still have a little bit of daylight left. I got so much freaking mint, dude, and there's still so much. It's crazy. I need to stay on top of it. That's what I need to do. Okay, chamomile is being totally invaded by this mint and this basil. I need to take this mint back on this side too, even though I've harvested more than I'll need for a year already. stevia, blue spice basil, chamomile, and get a little bit more of that mint. Yep, see, so rudely invading. That's why I love this Rue apron. Everything in my pocket. Now when it comes to mint, don't cut it all the way back to the ground. At least not for the winter time. I think that's how mine died. All of it that was here last year died, except for what was rooted in on the ground. Just grab your hand, or not grab your hand, but bring your hand in, and just pop them off. And that's what you use for chamomile tea. Chamomile tea. The people over at Epic Gardening, Kevin and Jacques, I see an earwig, say chamomile instead of chamomile, so I just think it's funny to say it. That's more than I need for tea, but let's go try that tea, and then I'll harvest the rest of this. We have the blue spice basil and some stevia leaves to sweeten it. And we'll let this not quite simmer, not boil, not simmer either. We will let this just kind of like steep and stay warm for a little while, and then taste it here in a bit. Here we are the next day dealing with the herbs. Basically, I'm going to dehydrate them in the oven at 170 because that's the lowest setting my oven goes, and this is way too much for the dehydrator that I have. So my cooking trays here with the herbs in the oven is what I have to do, and it works out fine. So we're going to take the parsley inside and try to get a couple more stems off, because I don't really want the stems, I just want the leaves. And there's Tater there being a sweet girl. She's so precious.
Oh dear, it appears your clothes are still damp like a soggy sponge. Do consider showing them some warmth in the dryer, unless you enjoy the musty aroma of procrastination.
Now that most of the stems are gone, we're going to pop it in the oven and dispose of the excess stems into the compost. So we have our Italian basil. The top tray there is savory. Italian basil and thyme are sharing a tray, and that's all we can fit in the oven at this time. There's some mint leaves that I put in that bag. Those will go in the freezer. And now we're going to deal with all that chive. I rinsed it real good. And we'll basically just pick out the brown bits. Oh, baby girl. So precious. I love you. Baby, I'm trying to do this. puppy. Fine. Hold on. I'm cutting the dill into small pieces so I can put them in jars that I just re-washed to make sure they were nice and clean. I do refrigerator pickles, and I'm just preparing the jars for later use, basically. I don't have cucumbers to put in these yet, but I have dill. I don't want the dill to go to waste, so... This is the last little bit of my vinegar. Very last little bit. So I'm trying to put a little bit in each jar. Whenever it's time to add the cucumbers, I'll thaw these jars out and then add more vinegar and water and the rest of the ingredients at that time. But I figured if I have to freeze the dill anyways, I might as well freeze it like this. Now here we are on the day after that, so 2 or maybe even 3 days after the beginning of the video, and I'm coming back out to finish grabbing the rest of the chamomile. My new kneeling pad. It's very nice and fluffy and soft. So we just grab them and pop them off, and if a few stems get in there, it's okay. It's okay if you have stems in there when you go to brew your chamomile tea. There's a lot here. And it's only a few chamomile plants. They just exploded in size and they're very productive. So I'll definitely have a year's supply of chamomile tea. I don't drink it every day, so I'll have a year's supply when I'll be able to drink it anytime I want, which won't be every day anyways. And this side, there's even more hanging on the grass, probably killing the grass under it. And then to preserve this, I just pop it in the air fryer. The default setting is 370 for 15 minutes, so I just leave it at 370 but change the time to 3 or 4 minutes depending on how much I have in there. Let it sit in there in the residual heat, and then a few hours later, the next day, I'll take the chamomile out of the tray or out of the air fryer, leave it on the tray to air dry for another few days or a week or whenever I get to it, and then pop it in the jar that I keep it in, which is an old jar of peanut butter that I wash out and reuse for whatever I need. Another culinary herb that we have that we haven't gotten yet is cilantro. And this is hiding behind the Roma tomato plant beds, purposely hiding behind them in shade. And these are the same ones I planted months ago, and they've never bolted. And I've gotten a couple harvests from them. Just cut them like this and they keep growing. But because they're so protected in the shade, they get just a little bit of sunlight here and there. They have not bolted yet, so that was a great and successful experiment that I'm very happy about. And I haven't had to plant another another round of cilantro yet. Now we're finally getting the blue spice basil. I'm just cutting it back. I'll worry about taking it off the leaves later. I'll also just freeze this. I'll just take the leaves off the stems and compost the stems and the blooms, and we'll just put the leaves in the freezer for later use. And I'll make sure to label the freezer bag so I don't get them mixed up. I don't know any other applications for this as far as cooking with it, but the tea is the only thing that I've heard of. Now onto the stevia. So I'm just grabbing it and cutting the stems and all. And I usually, whenever I am making tea, I also use the stems. I don't bother taking the leaves off the stems, just the same as with mint. It doesn't have a bad flavor or bitterness to the drink or anything like that, and it's just easier to just put the whole thing, stems and all, in the freezer bag and not have to take the extra step of taking the leaves off. And it works well. Makes a very delicious tea. So here we are, putting the stevia in the freezer bag, got it labeled, and we're going to do the same thing with cilantro. I don't want to bother dehydrating the cilantro. I will at some point, but this batch I'll just put in the freezer and cook with it later, like a taco soup or something like that. And like I said earlier in this video, I'm going to have to take care of the rest of the oregano later because there's just too much. So here we are. I cut all that oregano back, and it's like mint. It spreads like mint, and you just cut it back and it keeps growing. So I took it off the stems for the most part, and we're going to line this tray with it and stick it in the oven. And since it's a big pile, it does take a while in the oven. And it's at 170 because that's the lowest it'll go. Now here we are, probably a week or more later. And it's funny because I'm wearing the same shirt that I was in the beginning of the video, but this is at least a week later. And I'm dealing with the chamomile, which I did with it. See, that's the air fryer tray. So I just let it sit there and finish air drying. And this is the oregano that we had just put in the oven. There's a few stems that I didn't bother with, and it's just as easy to take the leaves off the stems afterwards as it is before. So we'll make sure we get the stems out. The stems don't cook very well. They still stay hard after you cook with them, so I'd rather not have the stems in there if I can help it. And you know your herbs are dried enough when they crumble into a little powder like this really easily. That's when you know they're good. They're good and dry. And this is going to be leftover ragu, I think, or prego. Ragu jar. And it'll have our oregano in it. Here's the parsley. There's a few more stems that I want to get out of here. And I'm crumpling it up, realizing this is not, like, this feels dry, but it doesn't have the crumbly crunch to it. So it needs to sit out longer. So I actually let it sit out another week, and it still does not dry the way I need it to. So then I have to put it back in the oven again, and then it finally crumbles up like the oregano did. So the parsley just took a little bit longer. This is our savory, and we are it takes a while, but one stem at a time, finally get all the leaves off this stem. And this is our Italian basil, and it is also not dehydrated. A couple pieces crumble like we want, but the majority of it does not. And so we don't want to dehydrate that if it had, because that means it has a little bit of moisture left in there. If it won't crumble, it's not fully dehydrated. So we're going to let this air dry as well. A few more days of air drying does the trick, though. I don't need to put it back in the oven. And the background's silent now because we had to play calming music, and I didn't want to get a copyright because there are fireworks going on, and the dogs are freaking out. See, Lucas is like up my butt right there. oh my gosh, fireworks. Oh no. So we took all the leaves off the thyme stems, and I'm just topping off my bottle of thyme that I already had. And then here's the savory. No, here's a sage. And remove the stems, crumble it up, and stuff it in the jar that I had already. I don't use savory or sage very much in cooking. I don't know why. It just doesn't pop up in my recipes very much. The most I use it in is like spaghetti sauce. And all my herbs are just stored in old jars, old ragu, old prego, old peanut butter jars, the glass ones, and they work good. So the basil and the parsley will just sit on the table out of the way until I finally get them dry enough. All these stems will go in the compost. Okay, let's try the tea real quick. That actually tastes pretty good. I'm sitting out in the garage because it's like almost midnight and I'm trying to be quiet in the house. So, yeah, I'm shocked. It has like this, like it's called blue spice basil, and it has like this spice to it, like not a savory, warm spice, like a cinnamon, but not cinnamon. I like it. Okay, thumbs up. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Feel free to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Bye.